Hi guys, welcome to my channel DoctorBhaama. I'm a doctor in India who's trying to match into residency this year, and I'm trying to make videos about everything in my life from interview season to extracurricular activities, and hopefully one day if I match, fingers crossed, into residency, more about that. So if any of the above interest you, please subscribe to my channel. I'd be very happy about that. This video today is basically an overview video for people who haven't decided if they want to do the USMLE or not, especially in international countries who are deciding if it's worth it or no. Basically information. If you don't have any information about this, this is the video for you. I have to warn you, this is a long video, so I'm gonna try to cut it as much as possible, but I'm estimating at least 15 minutes as of now. So please be patient if you want to know all the details. Okay, so firstly, let me just define a few words that are some basic terminologies, and hopefully you'll catch on as you keep watching the video. The first thing is USMLE. What does it stand for? US Medical Licensing Examinations. I'll talk more about that later. ECFMG, the second word. ECFMG means Educational Commission for Foreign Medical Graduates. And the third word is ERAS, which stands for Electronic Residency Application Service. And lastly, the fourth word, NRMP, the National Resident Matching Program. I'm gonna break down the entire process broadly into 4 steps. It's a little more complicated and there are sub-steps between each of the steps. So the first step itself is the USMLEs. Currently, right now, there are 3 steps. There's the USMLE Step 1, there's the USMLE Step 2 CK, and USMLE Step 3. And each of these exams have their own set of resources, they have their own subject. I can make videos about these separately if you're interested in that. I'm not sure that my step 1 video will be relevant to anyone because step 1 is going pass or fail this year. But just as a broad overview, step 1 is 8 hours in duration with a 1-hour lunch break. Step 2 is 9 hours in duration with a 1-hour lunch break. And step 3 is conducted over 2 days. I still haven't taken step 3 yet, so I don't want to talk about it until I'm done with it. But I can vouch for what step 1 and step 2 were like. So if you want videos on that, I'm more than happy to make them. And basically, step 1 tests you on anatomy, physiology, biochem, pathology, pharmacology, microbiology, biostatistics, ethics. Basically, your first 2 years of medical school syllabus, wherever you are, most of the time. So first 2 years are dedicated to basic sciences. And then the step 2 CK itself is clinical subjects. So this is your 3rd year and final year. It's like broadly divided into 5 subjects: internal medicine, surgery, pediatrics, obs-gyn, and psychiatry. That's a completely different set of subjects for step 2. But I would say that the question pattern largely overlaps between step 1 and step 2, and your time that is invested into these exams is probably the most important part of this entire process. So now that I've described the entire USMLE exam itself, at least as a broad concept, I hope, if you have a timeline, the first thing you have to target is your USMLE exams. The second step here is getting ECFMG certified via the pathways. Now, because of COVID, there are multiple pathways that happened for last year and this year, but I don't want to talk about it until the next set of pathways are at least clarified by ECFMG for next year. So I'll talk more about it once the information is out. I personally applied via Pathway 1 for my ECFMG certificate. So I am ECFMG certified, and the significance of an ECFMG certificate is it kind of tells residency programs that you've cleared your basic exams that you need to get through medical school. It also kind of gives you the eligibility to take step 3. For other practical purposes, it lets you start residency, which is why it is preferred for international medical graduates to be ECFMG certified by the time they are applying to residency. And therefore, this is something that some people don't even have an idea about until they start the actual process. So basically, once you're done with your USMLEs, it's not chill and go to the US. You kind of do need to handle the admin aspect and get yourself ECFMG certified and take whatever exams they need for that. Last year it was OET, so I did take the OET exam as well for this process, and you need a letter of good standing and basically whatever documents they ask for. So it changes every year and it changes depending on the pathway. So based on that, I will speak about it once the new rules are set in place. That is it for the ECFMG certification step, or the second step of this path. The third step is your ERAS application. So like I described, ERAS stands for Electronic Residency Application Service. And so when you're applying, your ERAS CV is what you fill in. This is completely online. You need to have a personal statement and you need to fill in details about your research and US clinical experience. This is where people talk about your 3 months of US clinical experience or rotations in the US. This is where your research, preferably in the US, but if you have any research, comes in handy. This is kind of the part of the process that helps you stand out from anyone else, because everyone has to take the steps. It's mandated, but there's an additional aspect that programs are looking for beyond your step scores, and this is where you have to shine. This is where you need to build your resume, and this is exactly why people do get stressed out about this process, because you do need to have few months in the US as a clinical experience, because they want proof that you can adjust in the American education system and residency system specifically, which means that you need to kind of show that you went to a clinic or a hospital and worked there and you still liked it and you were able to cope. This is also where you need these places to give you LORs or letters of recommendation, preferably from the US. You do need some things from your home country, but for the most part, your letters of recommendation from the US are what give you a lot of credit. So please try to make sure that you address this aspect, or at least think of it when you're considering USMLE as an option, because this will impact your application to a large extent. This is usually submitted by everyone by a deadline in September. It used to be mid-September, then they made it late September. I think last year for the batch before us, it was probably like in mid-October. So it's been all over the place, but keep your eye out. You're trying to target September. You want to be ECFMG certified. You want all your documents. You want your degree, all of that before September. Once you have filled all of this out, you apply to a bunch of programs based on your specialty of interest. I'm interested in internal medicine, so that's kind of a broad spectrum, and there's like a lot of programs that I was able to apply to. It depends on your specialty. The number of programs are narrowed down, and the prospects or what you need to do as an extra aspect of your application changes based on the specialty that you're planning on applying to. And then the last part, this is the fourth part. This is not the last by any means in the entire journey, but this is the last step until you get into a residency program. So once you've applied in September of that year, from October to next February, you are going to be approached by programs, hopefully fingers crossed, for interviews. These programs are trying to assess your personability and the human aspect of you and figure out if you're a good fit for their program. I already made a video about interview tips on this channel, so if you want any advice in that angle, go ahead and check that video out. Once you have attended all of these interviews, I think probably by the end of February or early March, you have to submit a rank order list where you kind of rank all the programs according to what your preferences are. So whatever makes you like one program above the other, you're gonna rank that number one, and then so forth and downwards. And similarly, these programs are going to do the same thing to you and rank you according to all of the candidates they interviewed. And all of this is entered into the NRMP, this program, and that generates a unique match. You get one program that you end up going to. Nobody knows how far you'll fall down your rank order list. Nobody knows if you'll match or not match. But for the most part, in most cases, you're given one match and you end up having to go to that program. You're contractually bound to go to that program. I don't know the consequences. I haven't really looked at the consequences of not going to a program. It's ingrained in my head that you just don't let go of that opportunity. Once you've gotten a match, that is the place you go to, no questions asked. And then you basically, by the end of March, know where you're going, and you start residency in June. Or July, but orientation starts in June. As you can see, there's a lot of steps, and as you can see, there's a lot of sub-steps in this because it's absolutely by no means simple. But if you want any explanation on any of these parts of the process, I will most definitely make videos about it. And if you want anything, please comment. I will make sure to get your concern addressed. So thank you for watching. Thank you for patiently watching. And I hope I didn't freak people out. But yeah, that's about it. That's the overview of the USMLE. See you in my next video.